Hello everybody and welcome to Krista So Crafty. My name is Krista. If this is the first time you're here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a little sewing project using this little cardboard strip. My husband went for coffee the other day and he bought himself a coffee and it had this little tiny sleeve on it. And I thought, you know, that's great, but they still let all the heat through. So I'm going to make my own. I saved this from his coffee and I'm going to use it as a template to make my own design. So I have this and I have two pieces of fabric that I'm going to use. I have two pieces and right now I've just rough cut them a little bit bigger than this. And I also have a piece of batting. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to just do one layer of batting or if I want to fold this in half and make it double. I'll let you know as we go along. As far as materials, what you're going to need is some batting, two pieces of material, and I haven't interfaced these or anything, and I have my template. Now, if you don't have one of these, you could just draw one of your own. It wouldn't be that hard. What I will do is I will take this and I will scan it, and I will put it onto my Facebook page, Krista So Crafty, and if you'd like to go there and to be able to print this off, you can do so. I will do that for you. But I'm going to use this. I've got some scissors and I've got a pen. And I think that's about it really. We don't need a whole lot. So I'm going to start with my fabric and my little paper piece here. And I'm going to put my material right sides together. And I'm going to lay this on top of here. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I can get some pins in here. Oh yes, just to hold this in place. There's one and two. And so what I'm going to do is I want to be able to have my pattern that I'm making about 1/4 of an inch bigger than what the paper is. That way it'll give me enough room that I can stitch and I can fold it and it'll still be the same size. Okay, so I'm going to just take my pen and if you want, you can take a ruler and measure around. I'm just going to go about, what is that, 1/2 inch? An inch all the way around. Okay, that way we've got lots of room, and if we need to, we can always trim it off, but you can't add it back on. So I'm just going to go and kind of do about 1/2 inch all the way around. Now this specific little cozy has square on the top and round on the bottom. I'm going to stick with that. So I'm going to do a point. Can you see what I'm doing? Kind of. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to round that corner like that. And then keep going with my 1/2 inch all the way around. And this will allow me, just about didn't have enough room there. This will allow me that 1/2 inch all the way around. And so I can sew this and have a good space all the way around. Can you see where I drew? I'm also going to put a couple little marks on here where I'm going to start and stop. And I'll start and stop. And then that hole, we'll leave that so we can turn it inside out. You know what? I think I'm going to take my pen and just lightly trace all the way around this cozy. Like this. And that will be my stitch line. So I'm going to take the pins out and take this cardboard off. And I want to show you. So let me pop these pins back in so nothing moves. So here's what we have so far. So now what I can do, I think one layer of batting will be enough. I think that'll be enough. So I'm just going to lay this on top of here and on a single layer of the batting. And I'm going to take these pins out and put the pins through all the batting and the 2 layers of material. And now I can just take my fabric scissors and I'm going to cut on that outside line. This will be our little cozy. I think it's going to be great. And I love this material. Now, obviously you can use whatever material you like. If you want, you can absolutely do some, get this out of here. You could do some quilting on it, which is what I'm going to do, just to help hold that batting in place. And I think this will make a nice little cozy for our mugs, for our cups that we coffee there, or whatever teas that you buy from different places. And I think they will work better than the little cardboard ones you get from the stores. All right, so get that out of the way. So now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to start sewing here, back tack, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to stop sewing here with a back tack. And I'm just using a regular stitch, 2.4 in length, and a back tack, and away we go. When I'm sewing with batting, I like to have the batting on the bottom, closest to the bottom, because if you do it on the top, I tend to think that the feet, the little, legs on the feet, get caught in that batting. So I always like to put my batting on the bottom. So when you get to the corner, just do a couple stitches, put your needle down, lift your presser foot and turn. And just kind of keep doing that until you're all the way around. This will just help you get around that corner nice and easy and make it nice round corner. When you get to the bottom or the top one where it's a point, put your needle down right in the corner and then lift your presser foot and turn, and then away you go. Right there, lift my presser foot. My sewing machine has a needle down, so as soon as I stop sewing, the needle goes down. If you want to know, I have a Janome S5. Okay, so I'm coming up to where my second mark is. So I'm going to get to that spot, and I'm going to do a back stitch and cut my thread. All right, so we can take our pins out now so we don't poke ourselves again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim. Sorry, forgot to move you. So now I've got this all sewn, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim to about 1/4 inch all the way around. Just like so. This will help to reduce the bulk on those. Like so. Now when I'm doing something like this, I like to leave the opening with a little bit more material and stuff. I'll show you here. So I like to leave my material a little bit longer so that when I fold it in, it's got more inside and it lays down nicer. So with these now, on the ones on the corners where there's the points, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce that material even more. So I like to cut across the end and then just trim back on either side. So it's going to look something like that. And I'll do the same thing on both sides. Like that. That just makes it so that when we go to turn it and point out those corners, that it gives us a nice point. As for the round corners, what we're going to do is you can do one of two things. You can take your scissors and do little cuts in. Just make sure you're not cutting your material. And I'll show you what that looks like. So you just make little relief cuts, and what that does is it helps when we go to turn it that there's not as much material to make it bulky. The other thing you can do is if you have pinking shears, you can use those, and basically it does the same thing. It just creates the kind of a zigzag, And again, it just makes it so that it reduces the amount of bulk that's in that corner. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach inside the 2 pieces of fabric, just like that. And we're going to push all of this material out through that opening. So turn those corners. I like to put my thumb in the corner or in the round and push with my other fingers and get those corners flipped, and then I'll start pulling it out like this. Get that one in there, and then we'll go to the corner with the square corner, and then we'll pull it out. I have a chopstick that I'm going to use. I'm going to go into that round corner, and I'm going to use the tip of my chopstick, and I'm going to round out the corner. It just makes it so nice. And then on the square one, I'm going to push into that corner and get that nice and neat like that. And I'll do that on both sides. So into that square corner, make it the point nice and neat, and then into the round one, just take your end of your chopstick and make it go around. And then I like to take the end and just kind of go along all the seams, and it just helps to push those seams out nice so that there's nothing tucked in, and everything is going to lay down so beautifully. To both sides, across the end and across the top here, like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to kind of put my fingers in the hole, and what that does is it pushes that material inside, and as you can see, it's laying down beautifully, and once I sew it, you're not even going to know that that opening was even there. So right now I'm going to take this to the ironing board, and I'm going to give it a really good press so that it's laying down nice and flat, and then we'll come back and we'll do a top stitch and probably just some real basic quilting on here, and then we're pretty much all done. Now I'm back from the iron. I have everything pressed. So now I'm going to take and sew this like an 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around. And that's going to do 2 things. It's going to give it a nice top stitch, but it's also going to close up this opening for us. Hello, Tux. Come here. Come here. See? Here to supervise again. He thinks it's TREAT time, but it's not quite. You still have a few more minutes to wait. So I'm just going to do an 1/8 of an inch stitch all the way around. And I'm just using a white thread on this. You can use whatever color thread you want. Now when you get to the corner, you want to go slow and go around the corner nice and neat. Would you go away? I'm busy. I'm busy. When you get to that corner, put your needle down, press your foot up and turn, and then just continue all the way around. And that is our top stitch. So everything is all nice and neat. Trimming up my threads here. Somewhere in the back there, is my little back threads. So that's that. So I think now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a cross hatch and call it good as far as the quilting. I don't think it needs a whole bunch, but I do want some to hold it still. Start in the middle. And you know what? I have, where is that little thing I have? This little doomahinky. I don't know what it's called. It's like a gauge or something that I can put in here, and it allows me to create a space. So I'm going to use that. So I'm going to start here. And then what this allows me to do, so I will sew my first stitch. And then I'll take and I'll run this bar right along that line, and it allows me to keep my stitching, my sewing nice and straight, and the same width apart. And that's what I'm going to do, is just move along here. Now this works obviously better when you have a bigger item, but it's still helping me keep going nice and straight and to keep the same spacing all the way. There. And I'm going to turn. I'm going to go this way. I think I can get one more row of stitching down here. Perfect. Now, of course, I have all these threads we need to trim off, but I will do that afterwards. But now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from, so if you look at my stitching, so I'm going to go from this stitching here to not to here. I'm going to go over 2, I think. I'm not going to use my little guide. I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm going to line myself up so I'm straight, ready to go. And that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that'll be cute. That will look good. And that will definitely hold the batting down in place. Going to flip this around and do the other end here. You see all my stitching? I think it looks good. I'll get my little snips and trim up all these threads. Okay, so our last step is to put on some Velcro. So I have just a little piece of Velcro. So I'm just going to cut off a couple little pieces, make sure they're nice and straight, which this side is not. Okay, and then we're just going to sew this on either side. Now remember, when you're sewing these on, you want to put one on one side and then flip it over and put this on the other side so that when they wrap around, they will be able to hook together. So I'll just sew this on real quick. I'm putting it close to the edge, and I'm just going to sew around all 4 sides. That's the one side, so I have it over here, so I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put this on this side, okay? It's very important that you put it on the opposite sides, otherwise you won't be able to, the Velcro won't work. So again, now we're going to take our little snips and snip off these threads. And there is our little cup holder thingy. So this will help protect your hands from the hot liquids of the coffee or the tea or the hot chocolate or whatever it is. And you should be able to use this on different sizes and it'll just go up. I'll see if I can find my husband's coffee cup from yesterday. See if it's still here. If it is, I'll show you what it looks like. So here it is. See how it fits nicely on there? Yeah, it just slides on and slides off, and it's great. Enjoy your coffee or your tea. And now your hands won't be getting burnt by the hot liquid that's inside. But I think it's wonderful. You can use different material. You can use different quilting. You could actually make this wider if you wanted. So instead of just when we traced it out, we did that 1/2 inch. You could just make it maybe 3/4 of an inch and then just sew 1/4 of an inch in. So you'd end up having it about this big. And that would be wonderful as well. Now with this one, they did have it glued shut. Well, of course, we're not going to do that. I like the Velcro. The other thing is with this is it's totally machine washable. Just throw it in the wash machine, throw it in the dryer, and you're ready to go for your next coffee. The biggest thing is to remember not to leave it on the coffee cup when you throw the coffee cup in the garbage. I really hope you enjoyed this. It was a fun little video, and I think it's a great little way to, you know, make something that is a little bit more reusable. You know, everyone talks about reduce, reuse, and recycle. I like to do different things. I have actually a playlist showing different things that I've done, just that, reduce, reuse, and recycle. I'll put a link up here for that. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and I'll put some more videos coming up right away here that you can watch until the next time I upload a new video. Thank you again, and happy crafting.